Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with you this morning. This morning, I want to talk with you about an evolution that's been happening in my own practice that has resulted in something that I call the practice of pure attention. Traditionally, in Buddhist practice, there's two different paths that people go down in their practice. As we go through life, it seems to me, we have two kind of different ways of doing life. One mode of life is we're in the flow of life. So we're in the flow of divinity as it's unfolding through time. And of course, someone who's in that state experiences a peace and a well-being, a sense of harmony and a clarity that comes naturally from being in that place. Now, that person also is going to experience pain and is going to experience, the various kind of challenges and difficulties and stuff that come just from our circumstances, because those are a part of life too. But while that person is engaged with whatever it is that has, come up for them in their life that is challenging them, they'll be able to do it with the assistance and support of what you might call divine presence. The other mode of being, which is, the one that's more familiar to all of us, is to be a self that's outside of life. Okay, so what's the problem? Or what's the big idea about being a self? The problem with being a self that's outside of life is that it's outside of life. It's outside of divine presence. It's outside of the mystery. So someone who is living in that mode is attempting to get their needs met, not by looking to the guidance that is just here in the moment, but looking to this set of beliefs and assumptions that I mentioned earlier that they picked up when they were children. And the result of that is they're going to be doing all kinds of things to try to get their needs met that essentially don't work. And even kind of more than that, they're going to end up wanting to want. And so they're going to try, someone who is a self is going about life trying to get the thing that it wants so that it will be happy, supposedly. But what ends up happening is they end up wanting to want and being dissatisfied with whatever it is that they've managed to get. And so there is a perpetual state of dissatisfaction and unhappiness that happens. As we're trying to learn how to let go of the illusion of a self that is outside of life. And it is an illusion. It's total fiction. It's absolutely made up. There's nothing to it. We're just all really taught to believe in it. So we're working on letting go of that illusion and moving back to the state where we're just in the flow of life, following life as it unfolds. In Buddhist practice, traditionally, there's two ways of going about that. The shamatha way is I'm going to focus my attention and I'm going to exclude conditioned mind. Conditioned mind being, you might say, kind of the mechanisms behind the illusion. It's sort of like how the illusion is created. So I'm going to exclude conditioned mind and I'm going to sort of create a space in the present where I can be, where I'm not experiencing conditioned mind. So that's the shamatha part. The other path is called vipassana. And the vipassana, it does involve concentration and focus for sure, but it's not about concentration and focus. It's about awareness. And it doesn't exclude conditioned mind, it includes conditioned mind. So in vipassana practice, we're allowing conditioned mind to arise in awareness so we can see it. So we can see what it is and we can see how it operates and how it's put together. So particularly for me, and this is my version of it, but everybody has their own version of it. Particularly for me, the self that I believed in was, he felt like a loser and he's no good. He's incompetent, he's inadequate, people don't like him, he doesn't deserve to have good things, and lots of other unhappy things like that. And I absolutely 100% believe that's who I was before I went to the monastery, and even actually for a long time afterwards. But what happened over time is with this practice of awareness and bringing the processes, like the thoughts really is what it is, the thoughts and the stories that are happening in conditioned mind into awareness, instead of them being here, sort of surrounding me where I can't see them, which is the state where most people are living. So when bringing those processes into awareness, I moved that conversation that's happening in my head from being here to over there. So now I'm outside of it and I can see it. The word I use for that is to disidentify. So I let go of the identity, the self who I thought that I was, and moved to a place where I could be aware of that self instead. And so I got to experience myself as awareness instead of as a self that suffers. And I'm sure many or perhaps all of you have had that experience in one way or another. And it's profound, isn't it? Like to see that I am not this no good or whatever person that I was taught to be. Instead, I am pure awareness, or another word you could use is consciousness. I'm pure consciousness. That's who I actually am. And the relief of that for me was indescribable. I was such an unhappy, suffering place to be living inside that self. And outside of it, as I said before, there's still pain there. There's still lots and lots of challenges. But there's a space and a freedom and a relaxation into life, and also a trust in the guidance. Because in that place of awareness, we are, as I was saying earlier, we are in touch with this divine intelligence. And the divine intelligence lays in front of us exactly what we need all day long, every day as we go through life. It's really amazing. As long as I'm looking to conditioned mind and looking to see where it is, and I'm having essentially like an ongoing battle with it, then it's going to be there. And to truly transcend my relationship with conditioned mind and be free of that, what I actually have to do is just turn away and not give it any attention. But what I see is if I can learn how to as best as I can, and it's a work in progress, but as best I can to remain aware that I'm aware, that's where God is. That's where life is. Because life is awareness. Or we might use the word the same, consciousness. That's what God is, as far as I can tell. That's what life is. And so if I can let go of a dependent relationship on all of these objects of my experience, needing them in some way, I can let go into a place where I don't need anything other than purely to be in relationship with God. And in that place, all my needs are met.